You want to see a good example of why no one takes Christian arguments very seriously? So this comment was left on one of my videos today. You can pause to read if you need to. And so I did a little digging. First, I took a look at the most atheistic countries in the world and started to dig into whether or not there was an increase of babies being thrown off of buildings in these countries. And that led me to infant mortality rates. Let me show you. Specifically, infant mortality rates among religious and non-religious groups. And it led me to this article here. Data shows less religion equals less violence. Don't worry, I have more than one article here. Let me quickly summarize. America is easily the most religious among the wealthy democracies. Weekly church attendance is higher than Europe. If religion brought safety in a crime-free country, America should be the safest. But it's not. Rather, we are the only country where these kinds of mass shootings occur on a frequent basis. As the Washington Post's Paul Waldman put it, if the United States is simultaneously the most religious wealthy country and the most violent, a lack of religion clearly isn't our problem. In fact, using Pew Research and the CDC, it was demonstrated that the higher weekly church attendance is, the higher the firearm mortality rate is among communities. That means the more people that go to church, the more often guns are used. Less religion equals less violence. Actually, murder rates, like most violent crime rates, are lower in more secular nations and the more secular states in the U.S., such as Vermont and Oregon, compared to more religious states, like Louisiana and Alabama. The safest cities in the world are nearly all in non-religious countries, and the 8 that are in the U.S. are in the least religious regions. Nearly every measure of health or well-being finds that less religious countries score better. On the flip side, the negative trend is very evident in the U.S. Here, the most religious states are the same ones with the most poverty, ill health, infant mortality, venereal disease, teen pregnancy, and low rates of education. And another study conducted by the LA Times says it is the highly secularized countries that tend to fare the best in terms of crime rates, prosperity, equality, freedom, democracy, women's rights, human rights, educational attainment, and life expectancy, although there are exceptions such as Vietnam and China, which have famously poor human rights records. And those nations with the highest rates of religiosity tend to be the most problem-ridden in terms of high violent crime rates, high infant mortality rates, high poverty rates, and high rates of corruption. The article goes on to say that if more religion caused less crime, then we should see abundant evidence for this. But we don't. In fact, we find just the opposite. Those societies today that are the most religious, where faith in God is strong and religious participation is high, tend to have the highest violent crime rates, while those societies in which faith and church attendance are the weakest, the most secular societies tend to have the lowest. Every single week, I get people coming into my comment section asking why I even make this kind of content at all. And quite honestly, just this singular study and this singular TikTok I just made, that alone is reason enough for me to be doing what I'm doing. Exposing irrational, illogical, and dishonest Christian thought. And I guess murderous actions too.